Good morning, everyone. Hey, Kevin, how are you? I think a lot of people took today off too. Might be a bit of a slow day in the room. That's okay. It's good to have time off. You're there every morning, Kevin. You're one of the regulars now. You're like Norman. Cheers. It's good to have you. Yes, I'm going to have to update my references from 80s sitcoms. Okay, folks, let me get to it here. Morning, everyone. Welcome to our April the 21st. Man, and you blink and April's gone. Just feels like it was month end a little while ago. This year is just flying past. And I think the volatility that this market is creating with the macro changing on a every 8 hours. I think we're all starting to age at dog years. It was nice to have a couple of days off. Hey, Network Com, how you doing? Hey, VS and Dan on YouTube. Good to have you guys with us. Now, let's go take a look and run down this thing. And see what are we going to do? What are we going to do? So, overnight inventory is 100% short. It's gap short, which means there's the low of Friday. Oh, Thursday, sorry. And yeah, VS, let me give you my. Yeah, you can DM me on Twitter or on Discord. Either, please do. Let me just give you my. Right, so overnight inventory is short. Or you can just email me too. Hey, Tim. All right, how you doing? So when we have inventory short, the market profile traders say that we should look for a move up to correct it. Every time we've kind of moved up to correct inventory, we've found sellers. We had them up here at 67, 66. Now they're engaging lower at 60. I so what I do is I zoned out, and there's a couple of things that I'm working on. And I'm going to need your help. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make trading less complicated for regular people, and I'm trying not to lecture and preach as much as I usually do. So I came up with something this weekend, and we tried it in Globex, and it seemed to go over well. We're going to have two styles of trading. We have traders who want to develop good business habits and, who manage risk and stuff like that. And then we have that breed of trader who likes to take risk, right? And they're not going away. So how do we help those traders from getting just destroyed, right? So if you're a trader like a Red Bull trader, someone who's like cranking down 7 Red Bulls and just, they don't use stops, all that sort of thing. What I'm going to do is in my morning open, here's the deal. So if you are long and you're one of those Red Bull traders, what you want to do is you want to watch that overnight low. And if you're long thinking that inventory is going to correct higher, watch the overnight low. Now, if that overnight low breaks, one place that you could consider getting out of your long trade without losing too much money, right, is 27 and a quarter. Now, the low is 38, so that's a 10-point stop. Because a lot of people come and tell me, JJ, I can't trade the way you tell me to trade, right? I try and do what you tell me to do, but I just can't do it because I have the gambler in me, right? It's like when stock promoters have the larceny in them. You give them 1 million shares, they're not going to do any. They're just going to sell it right back in your face, right? So you can't stop human nature. So can we give you guys a parachute that you can take a 10-point hit and not blow up your account? What do you think? Give me some feedback. Because if you're going to jump out of the plane, right, most traders have stops and, where the trade makes sense and stuff like that. But how about we give you levels that you can actually minimize the bleed? So you'll lose an arm, right? But you're not going to lose the whole upper half of your torso. I don't know. Think about it. Because I want to reach out to more traders, but preaching to them doesn't work. So let's go over some levels. If you're going long and you want to give it room to work, 27 and a quarter, 27 half, that's an area of interest. If that breaks, you really don't have much holding this thing up until 51.87 and a half. And if that breaks, 51.48. Now for traders who are short, because this was a look above 54.65 and a fail, the middle of the zone is 53.07. We are underneath the middle of the zone, so it just targets the lower levels as we go down. Okay? So for those traders who are trading size, it's like we have some guys in our room who do swings. They use options, right? You're looking for 87 and a half and then 48. Okay? If it gets back above 52.51. 52.51 is that swing low. I'm curious if we do one of these or if we just do one of these. Right now, we're doing the third option, which is just kind of going sideways here, which means we might just have to trade that until they pick a direction. Does that make sense? Does that help you guys? Right? Because for you guys who are scalpers who turn into investors, right? I'm just going to scalp this, right? Oh, I'm down 10 points. Well, I'm down 15 points. Well, I'll just keep adding. Does that help you guys have some sort of idea, like where the ocean and where the sky is if you were flying a plane, so you don't fly the plane into the ocean? Anyone? Does that help? Because I use really tight stops, I'm cheap. But for those of you big spenders, right, maybe this will help. Well, those are my favorite kind of investors, team. When you sell them a stock and they're like, oh, I'm going to flip it out. And then you take it $2 lower and they're like, maybe I'll just hold on to it. Yes, Jam. I had some time to think over the weekend. Right? Hey, why not? You know what? It's a risk-on environment, right? I've always said give the people what they want, right? I know, Timo, and thank you for that, but It is a huge demographic that I have not been catering to for the last 5 years because I've been preaching responsibility in business, like some old man wearing a tweed suit, right? That's, those itchy tweed suits, Sherlock's Holmes style. So let's see, right? I think we're going to go sideways. If we get heavy selling, we'll take out 87 and 48, right? If we get above 51 and stay above 51, look for back and forth in this area, right? So now you know where you are in the zoo. Hey, Terzi, how you doing? All right, let's go take a look and see. We are going to open out a gap, okay? We're going to open out a fairly decent gap down, right? Because there's the low of Friday, and our open is down here. It's a gap, which means we have selling pressure in the market. Why do we have selling pressure? Well, because we are in a huge rotation now. We're in a massive rotation between 51.48 and 54.65, right? And what are we rotating? We're rotating inventory. So sorry for flipping back and forth on these charts. Think of this as a big car lot, right? Here's when we took the cars off the train, put them out on the lot, everybody bought them, they can't afford it, so now they're selling them back to us, right? So we'll do this. I think we're going to go back and forth like this, right? Back and forth and back and forth until this market, and that gives it a range to work out. It's a big workout range, and I think if we can hold it, right? If we can hold that low, and I'm not saying that 48.60 low, I don't know if that's going to hold, right? I'd like it to, and we get some stability, but I can't say. If it holds, then we can just rotate back and forth in this big purple, ugly Barney the dinosaur colored zone, okay? So let's go and see what our trades off the open, right? See, now there's that swing low. That's that 52.51. We're underneath it again, right? Our overnight point of control is above it. So inventory, even though our overall inventory is short, the inventory of the session is short, the shorter term inventory, shorter time frame, like 15 minute, half an hour, right? You got to remember the overnight session started at 6 p.m. Eastern time last night. So that session inventory is short. But in the shorter time frame, let's say a couple of hours, that inventory is actually long above where we are right now. And this is one of the most difficult things for traders to understand because it's almost impossible to visualize unless you stare at charts like a mad fool for 8-9 hours a day. So I'm trying to figure out a way to show you. So where are we right now in the zoo? We're here. The inventory is above us, which means there's supply above us pushing lower. Because now why would I say that? Well, JJ, why is supply pushing lower? Hey, listen, if you were long 58, are you going to be happy at 52? I think I've just answered your question, right? But the inventory for the entire session is underneath yesterday's close. I don't think it's a bank holiday in the U.S. I think it's business as usual. Hello. They don't close their markets for more than 3 days in a row. You know what I mean? I think there's a rule somewhere, right? They don't like to close their markets for 3 days in a row. So it's a holiday in the UK, a holiday in Germany, right? Good to know. Hey, Jersey in the house. Love me some Jersey City. Montgomery Street, Jersey City. Wonderful times. That's where all the market makers used to be in the old days. So, the entire inventory with respect to the close of Friday is short because it's underneath it. If it was long, it'd be above it. Okay? So, this is short, and they say you should get this, but in the shorter term, right, we had this position, we went and sold it, and now we're just kind of futzing around here, right? It might be a little choppy when it opens. Okay? Might be a little choppy. If it's choppy, just kind of chill out, have a coffee, right? You might have a couple of Easter eggs left over. Let's see. Let me go through the upper and lower stops with you. Now this is for the degen traders, okay? So for responsible traders, right? There's really nothing to be done here because we're looking for a look below and fail or a sell down back to cost basis, right? That's for responsible traders. For the degens, here we go. Your upper stops are going to be that overnight point of control, 52.57 half and 52.61 if you're long. If you're short, your lower stops are going to be 48 and 3/4 and then 42 and a half. Okay? So if you're long, these are your upper stops. Now what does that mean? These are targets. Right? And if you get over 61, well then you're laughing because you're not going to find sellers until 67, 68. Right? Now if you're short, I'd watch this 51 half. If you're short and we stay under 51 half, that's good for you. And if we take out that 48 and 3/4 stop at the X low down here, right? So if you're short and we stay under 51, your first targets are 49, then your second target is going to be 43 and a half, right? And if you get past the gatekeeper at 43 and a half, right, the land of milk and honey is under 38. But I don't know how much buying there's going to be here, right? I do not know what lurks underneath 52.38, right? I don't know what kind of bids there are, and there is a stop from that M low from this day here, which is at 34 and a half. So I don't know what kind of bids are going to come in here. Let's see what happens. Okay? Does that make sense for you guys? Now you have some sort of guideposts because these are big profiles. It's a big range, right? And today's not even that big a range, but it's still sizable, right? Our low, the low of the overnight is 52.38. The high is 53.06 and 3/4. I think that's significant enough that you really, I mean, you could easily blow up an account screwing around in there. So maybe we give you a way so, it's like, remember in the 70s when we used to build ramps and jump dirt bikes over the ramp? This is if we put some mattresses down on in the fall zone, right? So if you wipe out, you're not going to get a bunch of road rash. Does that make sense? Maybe it helps, right? Good, right? I just realized it. I just had an epiphany over the weekend. I'm like, you know what? Just stop preaching to people. It turns them off, right? Be careful, watch your risk, capital preservation, all that stuff, right? maybe 1% of the people actually pick up on that. Now, if you want to learn how to trade intelligently, right, I will always teach that. It's not like I'm going to throw it away, right? Sorry, Steve. I'll fix that. Well, Chris, here's the thing. I got to give them sub tools, right? Otherwise, just go ahead. It's a free for all, right? Yeah. At least, hey, think about it this way. You get on a plane and they show you where the exits are, right? Even if you get really, really drunk, hopefully you'll remember where the exits are, right? Right? So, I think it might be a little choppy when we open, right? I'm seeing, what are you seeing pre-market? Let's go into the pre-market. What are you seeing? Right? I was just going to say I'm seeing sellers at 52.53. See right here? I'm seeing sellers right here. Now people will go, JJ, how do you see sellers? It's the top of the candle. The sellers always initiate at the tops of candles, right? Let's see there. So now if you're a cautious long, right, and we do get a look below and fail of 54, then you know you can expect selling here and here, right? So there are the exits for more cautious people. Targets. Does that make sense? Now, what about the shorters, right? Let's not forget. Let's not forget the short sellers. You see this? It looks like a shelf on the candle chart. Do you guys see this? Right there. Underneath 52.46. It's weird. The electronic execution and algorithms really, really are helpful to the retail trader. Think about that. And a lot of old traders are going to just call me and just swear a blue streak at me. But I'm telling you, when you see candles that stop where the lows are exactly at the same price, you know that it's electronically limiting the sell there because there are buyers just under there, and they're using those buyers to hold the market up so they can go and sell higher. See that? You guys see that? Does that make sense? Right? Now that helps you because you're not shorting that. If you're seeing that they consistently pull the offer when they get under 46, right? And that offer comes down, it goes. As soon as it gets to 46, they pull it. Pull it. Pull it. Pull it. Then you're going to get this kind of movement higher. Right? Little subtle things like that. When the markets are slow, watch for those things. Because they'll kind of give you little clues, right? As to where the sellers are seeing buyers. Right now they're seeing buyers at 46. So say we do a look above and fail of 52.54, right? Hey, what's up, Aubrey? And we take out that low, right? You'll be looking for buy orders down here if you're short. So now you have some intelligence on where the bids are if you are short. The clue to flip the bias now, that's a good question, Ben. Right here is not an A plus setup for me because it's very choppy and I see like a barcode like candle pattern. I know that the wholesalers have the position here and they're going to go take it here. So what I do is I wait for this trade to look below and fail. So I can buy 55, put my stop down here at 54, 53, and then sell the 55s into the 57 and 60, make 4 or 5 points and be done. That's the trade I like. I don't like this back and forth barcode pattern trading. I like a nice smoother move. And I learned that by getting stopped out a lot in places like this and places like this. This is a place where institutional business favors retail, right? So sometimes the way business is occurring does not favor us to make money. Like chop, for example. Chop on a very tight scale. Look at the size of these, this chop. This does not favor retail trading. Does that make sense? But that will tell me, like, if I was thinking about shorting and I see bids here, I'm not going to short. Especially once we get over 47.5, because I'm not going to short because I know that they've got the position underneath 47.5. Here it is. We're going to take this and we're going to go sell it up here, right? And this is the path of inventory. Here to here to here, then on sale. And you notice when it comes on sale, it does not come back. God, I got this really marked up, right? When it goes on sale, it does not come back and break this little sideways action or this. These are areas where you will expect a little bit of support on the way down because it'll come back into a cost basis. This is the accumulation initial cost basis. This is the first distribution. This distribution creates price stability. That brings in the buyers, which creates more price stability into more distribution. Then you get that move up over 60 and then back down as we put the product on sale. However, when the product comes back to this cost basis, you'll magically see that the offer starts lifting. Right? It's not apparent at first. This is how markets are made. And it would be very, very it wouldn't make sense to expect a retail trader to understand that. That's why you guys have chart patterns. But what creates your chart pattern is actually repetitive business transactions that have been occurring for hundreds of years. That's all it is. It's just repetition of business transactions. I first learned how to use balance zones for larger time frames. Oh, come on. Go. So I would, let me see. I learned how to use them on, say, a daily chart where you'd find a balance zone. And I learned that from Dalton. He mentioned it once, and Peter Resnicek mentioned it once, and then they stopped really talking about it, and they talked about rotation. So you draw a balance zone, and then you double it to the upside, double it to the downside. They don't tell you why they double it to the upside or downside. But I can tell you why. It's because it's profit and loss, right? You have your cost basis and 2 times profit, 2 times markdown. It's just business, right? Market makers do not use balance zones at all. They trade order flow. Market makers do not trade the way we do M-Trades. It's a completely different business. They provide liquidity. So they have a contractual agreement with your brokerage firm that if you send in an order, that they will help you execute that order. That is different than trading. It's called providing liquidity. So if you go in to buy 10,000 shares of Microsoft, they will help you get better prices, right? When I was selling stock professionally, it is not how I thought. It was taught to me and ingrained into me, but I didn't actually realize it until later. Now, here's the thing. When I sell stock professionally, network, that stock, it's very different than a futures market. Because the people that I sell stock for, right, say if the stock's trading at $5, they would have paid under a penny for it. Sometimes they would have gotten it for free. So therein lies the lesson of cost basis, right? He who has the lowest cost basis is king or queen, right? Or whatever the hell the politically correct term is, right? Here we go. We got some buying. Here's that inventory correction to the overnight. Now we are above cost basis, so things have changed quickly. Going into the open, let's see where we open up this wacko thing. Remember, after the long weekend, it's okay to have a little weekend brain. Take your time. Right? Take your time. Let the market show you the way, right? There we go. So we're opening. Let's find that opening bid. So over 60, we're going to take this, and your first sellers are going to be right there at 63. And in fact, they are there. Now we're going to backfill, right? We created demand by taking the price up. Everybody chase, chase, chase. Now we're banging it down. Sell into that. Find out where they come in and start buying, right? And if we hold that 56 level, we should rotate higher. If we don't hold 56, we'll come down to 54. So those of you who like to scalp long, like long 57 and a quarter, for me on one and out at 59 and 3/4, just to scalp and see. That was my first trade of the day. Right? And I'm just watching I'm just trading off of the levels. Just trading off of the levels, letting the warm. I saw that when we came underneath that 56, cost basis, go sell it. Quick trade, just a couple of points. Now let's see if that holds again. Will they fall for it twice? I'd like to see it look under 54 and come back up. And does it respect the overnight point of control? See, look at that. There's 54. Told you 54. But we didn't get underneath it, so they cut the sell at 54. Where's VWAP, Zaz? 66? Thank you. You know what? I haven't even put VWAP on the chart this morning. There we go. There's 54. Come on down. Let's see. You are the next contestant on The Price is Right. See how it respected the POC? Well, now it gave it a good slap. Now that 52 swing, 52, 51 swing low to the tick again. But that's not buying. I'm not gonna, and I was wrong. Dang it. I was like, I'm not gonna trust that low at 52, 51. But it worked, right? So that's telling me I'm not quick enough. Not quick enough. Let's see if it holds a second time. Will we hold a second time? Let's see if we get that bid. There's 51. Are we losing 51? Ooh, lost 51. Right? Now there's a seller at 51. Let's see if we can get back up over it. Sorry. just trying to make the screen bigger. So seller at 54, watching 51. Right, so if you are going long off of that swing low, right, your risk is really 49, 48 and a half, right? Now, let's go back and test this cost basis here. I'll wait for the next candle and see if we can get back up over 47. All right, just chill out. Back up over 47, target's 54. Okay? It's a bit of a quick market, so if you are trading, put your sell orders out, right? Do not wait for an invitation to sell. We don't have much of a news cycle today, but don't wait for an invitation to sell. Scalp into it. Once you get a feel for the market, as the morning progresses, you can hold trades longer. That's another thing I was telling. People always want to hold trade longer. How about when you first start, do a little speed dating. Scalp into it to see if you can get a sense and feel that order flow. And then if it's working, then you can hold your trades longer. How about that? So those of you who are trying to build a long position and buy the dip, right? That 43 and a half is one of your like get out of dodge places, right? Those of you who are shorting, that's your target to the downside. There it is. So right now we are not seeing any bids. So those of you who wanted to go long, right? If we take out that overnight low, be careful. Right? So say you're one of those traders, right? You're the trader that doesn't use stops. This is going to get expensive. So your pain is going to be 34 and then 52.27. Okay? So you can easily on 5-6 contracts you can get down quite a bit of dough. So just know that, right? And ask yourself, do I really want to blow up my account on a Monday morning after a long weekend? Right? If you're short, look below and fail of that overnight. That works nicely. Right? Where the hell am I long? I'm long 40 and I'm selling 44. And I'm out. Nice trade, Aubrey. Good trade location. Look below and fail of that overnight low is a nice trade. Boom, boom. Yeah, I have no idea what to expect. Right? I haven't traded for 3 days. See if we can stay in the overnight range. I got to tell you, because of that look above and fail of 54.65, and now that we're underneath that 52.51 swing low, I am short biased. I mean, I don't want to short it down here, right? Because I don't have a setup right where the overnight low and those stops are. But I am short biased because I'm just looking for rotation lower, and I'm not really seeing a lot of bid strength yet. But it's only been 10 minutes. And you notice where the sellers are stepping in. So say you're long 40, right? You're looking for a seller at 46 and a half, right? The top of that candle, and then I'd say 52. So now you know where the sellers are, and now we've got a little bit of a point of control, a little bit of volume buildup at 44. Let's see if we can hold that and start rotating higher. Not just yet. Is the cake ready to come out of the oven? So even though overnight inventory was short, we have not had any significant correction to the overnight inventory because sellers are competing and pushing price lower. It's not much more difficult than that. You see the sellers? They're right there, right at the top of those three candles. Which is good to know if you're a short seller. Say you're short here or here, right? Well, you could put your, instead of putting your stop at break even, put your stop here, right? Because if that seller goes away, at least you can profit. There's no sense putting your stop at break even. You're not doing this for your health, right? Make some scratch, right? The intelligent use of targets, right? The market will tell you, and most people just ignore it. See, you can still be short as long as the sellers don't get the market over 47 and a half, right? You don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure out that there's sellers here. That's what creates that trend line, right? We got a bit of a rotation going on here. But hell, if you were short 52 and instead of covering 46, covered 42, that's an extra 4 points that you could make. Now be careful. Let's see what this next candle does. Oh, well, the seller's still there. Sellers coming in. Did you see how aggressive they came in here? If you're a short seller, wouldn't you like to know why your short sale works? I mean, even if you're completely degenerate, 7 Red Bull a day, 2-pack of Marlboro Reds kind of trader, right? Wouldn't you like to know where the sellers are that are going to help you stay in your short? There you go. Simple 1-minute candle. Now, direction-wise, I'm still short biased. Now, I don't know if you guys, I shouldn't probably be like talking out the side of my nose, But from what I can tell from the macronutrient folks out there, this whole, from what I read in Bloomberg and the Wall Street Journal over the weekend, it doesn't look like the institutional folks are feeling really, really comfortable. You know what I mean? You know, you know. Well, I don't know. Maybe, and your president might, do a little Goodfellows on the Fed president. Um, you know, nobody's feeling warm and cozy, so I don't really see a bid just yet. Right? Point of control moved down. It was up here. It moved down. Right? That's all short covering. That's what this is right here, my friends. That is short covering. Right? We're still easing off the steam created by that big day where the market did that 500 points. And I kind of want to see what the large speculators are doing. Right? We're going to see some bids at that overnight low. There they are, right there. Right? 38. Ah, I'm having hesitation issues with my trades. So when I start hesitating, it means I don't see it clearly. The reason I don't see it clearly is because it's trading right in the middle of this zone where I try and kind of stay away from things. Right? I think I'll let the rich folks pay for the bill here. Right? Yeah. I don't know if we're done with the breaking eggs phase of this market. You know what I mean? We might still have a few eggs left to break. So right now, all I can do is rely on the concept of rotation. Price action's really slow is at my computer. There we go. 52.27 is the next lower level. Right? And then the next zone will be 8 of these little boxes. Oh, sorry, wrong color. And it'll be 8. Right? Now this is the simplest math, which is really helpful for guys like me who failed calculus. Well, it would have helped if I had actually gone to class. Right? I know I got to put a few under there, but let's see how this works out. Now, if we can't get above that overnight low, those of you who are long, be careful. Right? Watch 38, and if it comes up There it is. So there's a seller at 38, but they're not aggressive. They're going to backfill this, go down. Let's see if we can creep up on 38 again. Whoa! Hello. Guess we did. Nice trade, AZS. So, once again, we got a thin order book, ladies and gentlemen. And we just spanked the short sellers. They just took them out to the woodshed and gave them a dirty licking. Let's see if we can hold 38 on the way down. God, this market trades like a penny stock. I never thought I would say this about the most, you know, sophisticated market in the world. But here we are. The way it was hesitating on the way down, when you rewind your charts tonight, when you do your chart replay, I want you to pay attention now this to the way the market traded down. It would kind of stop and then go and then stop and then go, and then we got that big bid and then crapped out. Just pay attention to that. If anybody else noticed that, let me know. Now, I've been watching price action for 33 years, so it's a little different. I'm going to pick up on things that you guys won't. See, that seller at 46 is still there, like a bad cold, right? Let's see if we can hold 38. You notice that? That was weird the way it traded lower. Like I thought my quotes had frozen for a second. Yeah. See, and that's another thing. 50-point candle on the NQ. Hey, Sean, this kind of thing does not really, with the white shoe crowd. Do you guys know who the white shoe crowd is? They're the folks who run the business, right? That's what they call white shoe. Goldman's, Morgan's, went to Harvard, Wharton, Harvard, Wharton, right? A couple of summer houses. One wing for the help, one wing for them, right? That kind of 50-point candle that doesn't make them want to jump in, right? They're like, ew. Right? That's a little too, that's like a little too Vancouver penny stock like. Now we're back under that overnight low, folks, so don't try and catch the dip. I'm seeing sellers still, right? Let's see, if we get up to 38 and if there's a reaction down, right, we're going to know that there's a seller there. So if you're shorting against that overnight low, like say I shorted 36 and a half, now I got one at 37, I got two left, and I'm covering them at 35 on the way down, just in case, right? I saw it come down there, and I shorted one. I shorted a couple in here, and I was like, okay, my out's going to be 38. But down here, that's where that weird freaky deaky bid came. See, this thing is trading just weird, right? This does not inspire confidence. Yeah, I'll flip over to the NQ chart. I haven't really looked at it. So now I want to see where they sell into it, right? We know that there's a seller at 46. Now show yourself, you rat bastard. Are you at 38 or are you lower? We'll tell by the next candle. Where the next candle opens, we'll know if those 38 sellers have moved down. And why wouldn't they? Everybody thinks, well, don't they want to sell higher? Yeah, but if everybody else is selling in front of you and taking your customers, you got no choice. You got to sell where you got to sell. Hope that helps. Be careful if you're long, ladies and gentlemen. My short sellers who are short under 41.38, we're looking for bids just at 28.27. And there they are. You can see them. You can see the bids coming in because they lift the offer. Yeah, I'd like to read about this whole measured move. I've heard you guys talk about it a bit. Yeah, don't do that, Chris. Just watch the levels for now. Right? Just keep your eye on this and the offer. Right? Keep your eye on the offer. Because in the simplest way, Chris, watching the offer tells you that the market is not behaving in a normal fashion. The price action is is kind of different, right? Yeah, no, I understand. Imbalance waves. That sounds like a good name for a rock band. Sorry. I don't know. You got to have a sense of humor in this business, okay? You can't, you can't, you got to have a laugh. See how that look at the top of every one of those candles. Look at that. Check it out. Right? There, there, there. They're all lower. The sellers are competing. Just pay attention to that. Now, I've always wondered what it is because I've heard traders say measured move a lot, but I've never actually researched it. Drop it in, drop it into 28. Now, if we take out 28, oh man, there's really, it's very strange price action. But that's okay. It's like maybe they forgot to oil the algo. It's like the algo is kind of rusty, eh? Hey, Pollux, what's up? There's 28. There's 27 and a quarter. Oh, we stopped one tick before 27 and a quarter. Now, do I trust it to stay above? Not really. So our first target at 27 and a quarter has been hit. For those who are short, there you go, to the tick. Now, if we accept under 28 and a quarter, right, all of the inventory of the last one, two, three, four, the last 4 days of inventory are now above us. That's creating sell pressure. If you're shorting down in the hole here, use 28, 28 and a quarter as your stop, okay? 21 and a half is the next target lower. Problem is, I don't know what's lurking here for bids, right? So be quick. Be quick, be quick, be quick. Nice. Come on down, right? There's that sell. If we're short 26, 27, pay yourself at 21. Put some bids under 20. See if you can get a fill. Rotation, Pollux. Rotation, my friend. That was a short cover, Pollux. That was definitely a short cover. They're like, come hit me. Uh, Chris, I was saying if you were short under 28, stop at 28, cover sub here. Just level to level. So right now, wait for the next move, Chris. Right? If you're short under 20, if you're short here, use 21 and a half and 24 as your stop. Put your target underneath. That is weird. Look at that. Now we're going looking for the bid. Be careful shorting. I mean going long. Going long, sorry. Duh. Right? So my next big level down is 51.87 and a half. But we can just use the 1 minute candle chart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hey, I'll see what's going on. There's 15, right? They're going to buy a little here, so look where they sell into it, right? And if we stay under 15, you can stay short. We'll be looking for 8.5 if we take out the low of that candle. Man, quite a bitterness is really holding up well compared to the market. 87,000. It's up 1,800 bucks today. Good work. So, Chris, no reason to go long. If you're short, just use the upper levels for your stops, right? Next target, 8.5. Oh, it moved. Nice trade, LC. Yeah, see this whole, you know, this whole Paul Castellano, Jay Powell thing, that doesn't really make people comfortable. But remember, folks, what's really going on in this market? Oh, I look, Sean Johnson, what I do is I look at rotations. I'll explain that in a little bit. What you do is you look for a rotation when the wholesalers are working both sides. You take that range and then you double it to the upside, double it to the downside. Market profile people call it balance. Some of them also call it rotations. If you come into our room, um, oh, him, sorry, weekend brain. Just delete the last 30 seconds of my speaking. All right, let's see if that 52.15 seller will move. Yeah, man, I'm having trouble with energy. I could really be lazy today. I could embrace being lazy. There's something about summertime, you know? Yeah, 13 and three quarters, right, Jaden? Nice call, nice call. I don't know, maybe it's a Canadian thing. As soon as summer comes, hard to focus. Yeah, the headlines are. I'm getting headline fatigue, Rolly. I really. It's hard reading the news. It's just too much. Chill out, guys. Right. That's why I'm ready for summertime. It's like the Fresh Prince said. Time to sit back and unwind. Yeah, I know. I saw that, Pollux. Yeah. Go golfing out of cell phone range. All right, let's see if we can hold that B low in the eights. Right, just go golfing somewhere where there's no cell phone range. The thing is, he doesn't really take holidays. Oh, you're in the room, Sean? Okay, cool. Well, say hi from time to time. Okay, what's with this 8 to 15 rotation? Come on, where's our sellers? Singles? From where else? Oh, yeah, you're right, you're right, you're right. But I thought they filled already. Are you talking the singles from that big day? Yeah, I've got 45. I don't know. This is all short covering right here. Nobody in his right mind is trying to put a position together at the lows of a market with what's the word they love to use here in the UK? Dodgy. With dodgy headlines. Nobody's really anxious to go in that low and buy 5,000 contracts unless they're covering a short. Oh boy. What next? That is a weird little rotation, but yeah, that those big candles, they really they really don't help anybody, you know? They really don't help. Thanks, LC. Oh, you went back to those monochrome charts, eh? At least you didn't go to the white background again. Those were hard to read. It was like a distribution. Those things were a trip. It was RX was using those charts, but he's an alien, so doesn't quite count. Yeah, I'm in chart rehab right now. I'm, try, I'm trying to reduce the number of charts. Well, we have like this short covering accumulation, but I don't really. Now I'm short biased, so take what I say with, you know, I'm short biased. I don't think that eight's gonna hold, but that's just because I'm biased, right? Not that I'm gonna trade this. I have no desire. No, thank you. You take your weird act somewhere else. I'm full with this crazy price action. See? I'm short biased, but I'm wrong, right? That's another thing, folks. Do yourself a favor. If you're wrong in this thing, admit it quickly, right? Even the degenerate YOLO, FOMO, BLOMO, blotto, right? One of those traders, admit you're wrong quick, right? Do yourself a favor. Now, point of control down at 13. Can we catch a bid here? Jeez. I'm just gonna, this is another time where, just like in Vancouver, when that $3,000 dinner bill comes, you just quietly excuse yourself. Let somebody else grab that dinner bill. Okay. I'm gonna let the large traders work out the low. Right? I have no desire to get involved in this. Not my horse, not my race. Right? I will trade my setup when I see it. Now, for the degens, if you're long, put your stop under 8.5. Right? Right? For the degen traders, right? I'm not going to trade this, but if you so wish to trade it, right, and you're long, use 8.5 as a stop. Well, you know, Jaden, that there will be somebody who is long that low, right? And if you are, if it takes this out, well, then right? No reason to keep adding to it, right? Because the next level down is 51.87, and that could get a little ugly, right? But you're seeing this short covering here. What do you guys have that cup and handle? I'm a little teapot. What is that little thing? That is when you get that short covering, right? So as long as that holds, you're all right. If that blows, right, then you could have a really quick downward move. So you have to wonder, do I want to lose this much, or this much? Right? See, there, that seller is annoying right there. It's boxed, right? Oy, boy. I know it's like watching paint peel. What you could do, right? Now, I've forgotten the responsible folks, is you could trade both sides of this box. So I really don't like shorting in the hole, but doing the look below and fail of 8 up to 13, take a couple of points, pay yourself. You know, if the market makers, oh, who was asking about balance? This is balance right here. This is when the market makers, the order flow slows down a little bit, so they're both sides. So under 12, they're a buyer, over 12, they're a seller, right? Until we get some order flow, quote unquote, customers who come in to change the dynamic of business at the time. The buyers keep buying because they shut off the supply, Jaden. I don't have anything personally against noseprint charts. Most traders I know don't trade them worth a crap because they can't put good information to use, right? Go ahead, use all that stuff. Just keep it simple, right? So how are you going to craft a trade execution plan around the chart that you're looking at? For me, I know I can do look below and fails of 8.5. It goes under 8.5 or it fails to take in 8.5. Long, stop, sell one, sell two, right? Simple, right? So they just took in a bunch of inventory, and what they're doing is they're going back and forth in this bracketed area to help get rid of some. Now, do we take that B low? It, it, because once those people have covered, there's not going to be an 8 bid. And there she blows. Under 2 targets 51.95. So we're coming into those levels. We're dropping in, ladies and gentlemen. Right? Just as we talked about pre-market about that rotation downwards. Just like we talked about on Friday, right? This is rotation down. Your next target is 51.87 and a half. I can't post a chart in the chat. I'll show you what I'm talking about. These are those larger levels that I keep talking about. So as we drop in, 87, under 87 targets 51.48. And this is the trade that we gave you last week. We said a look above and fail of 54.65 targets 51.48, and we're almost there. Yeah, it could be there, Aubrey. I've scalped short. I haven't taken this move at all. Just been little piker trades for me. On the old BTC, there's like a wall of sellers at 87,900. Just so you know. Let's see how good these 1 minute candle levels are. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 76 is the low on the 1 minute. Let's see which levels are more responsive. Hey, Terzi. Good stuff. Now let's see. Right, there were sellers here before that took us down. Let's see if those sellers are still there. Right, 5204. Do we creep back up over oh 04? And then if we do, where's our next seller going to be? They're going to be up here at 8.5. Okay. Again, this is more short covering. Let's see if this pattern happens here. Know what I mean? Let's see if this, right? Now it's not our first barbecue. Does this happen here? And then we drop down and then do it again? Let's see what happens. Because right now I'm seeing the sellers slow down. They don't need to sell under 95.5 just yet. Anybody have any questions? You guys are quiet. Everybody's still in weekend mode. Well, we were in the large move down. For the midpoint for trades, like to cover? Or to initiate a long? Uh, to get in and short. You could. You could. I have to say, even though I have short bias today, that my execution, uh, because I honestly, I'm not at 100%, so I will trade less and I will trade smaller. Um, and if I'm distracted, I'll miss trades. And I notice after the fact, right, I'm looking and seeing, oh, geez, there was a good trade there. There was a good trade there, right? And so I'm preoccupied because I'm also packing and moving. So I have not been as dialed in as I usually am, right? So that way I can just kind of not risk as much, not overtrade. You guys, did we call this out or what? Look at that. Same situation. So the market drops and then there's short covering. And when those shorts cover, you lose the bid. So the market drops and then short covering. right? It's the same thing. This is how you cover a short. This is how size traders cover, right? The market will drop. They'll sit there and bid, cover, 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 pull the bid, it drops, cover, cover, cover. The longer you can do this, usually if you have inventory above, you'll have selling. Volume profile is great. I like using volume profile after the move to see where all the bodies are buried, right? So if you go and draw a volume profile from that high to where we are now, it'll tell me that on the way back up, there's going to be resistance here. Because that's that short covering. There's going to be people who are trapped long too, not just people who cover short. So hopefully that helps, right? But I don't like having too many things on my screen at the same time because I get easily distracted, right? You know, just like my grade 5 teacher said, JJ is easily distracted and has trouble focusing because I get bored. And I'm just like you guys. Give me one of these indicators, give me all these cool charts. I went into those footprint, nose print, specialized DOMs, all of that stuff. But then I realized that if I can just focus on those 1 minute candles, the 1 minute candles are actually telling me exactly the nature of the business that's taking place. And as a wholesaler, I know you get a liquidation, right, into short covering. And when that short covering has exhausted itself, the market's going to drop. That's why I'm not at all thinking of buying a dip. Does that make sense? And I'll let the market tell me where the low is. Could this be the low? It might be. Do I want to put money on it? Hell no. I would even put your money on it, right? Which is okay because I took a couple of scalps. They're not so bad. I mean, they're not nothing to write home about, right? Now let's see what I do as the market, because what I've done with you guys now, I got to continue packing. So I'll have one eye on the screens, one eye on this, and I appreciate all of you being with us this morning. And come check us out. And our website is microefutures.com, but we've rebranded ourselves as the Trading Syndicate. Kind of rolls off the tongue. And so now we've consolidated all our rooms. So we used to have an equity side and a futures side. This way, everything's under one place, and you guys can find it. We got NFTs, we've got crypto. We're like Sears in the old days. You come in to get a set of tires. We'll clean your teeth. And maybe you can buy a couple of house plants, vacuum cleaner bags. You know, right? And we have a path to get people onto a prop desk if that's what you want. If you want just to earn an income, um, we'll be very happy to help you with that as well. All whatever you want to accomplish in this business. If you just want to make some extra money, right? You have a job, you have a family, you got kids. Not everybody wants to go and be on a prop desk, right? So we have that for you. That's the way I teach. And then we have other people who, are really young and they're trying to get on positions. One of my guys, you know, he went really, really disciplined guy, really worked his butt off, and he's a retired U.S. Army sergeant, and we got him, helped him learn the business so he could get on a Wall Street desk, and very proud of him, you know. You'll get information you can use. It's just, what do you want to do? Reach out, DM me anytime. We'll have a conversation. And I look forward to working with you folks as we go through this crazy, crazy time. You know, when you're old, you young ones, when you're old, you'll be able to say, I went through this market. It's historic stuff. You don't get a 500-point day in the ES. All of B period is singles. Indeed it is. Indeed it is, Elsie. I'm still looking for 87 and a half. Right. Still looking for 87 and a half. And we're going to have a lot of supply above us, ladies and gentlemen. And what that means is this. It's a big chunk of supply. For you, that means resistance. So when the market runs out of supply, it's going to go up into this red box to get it. Think of this now as your storage room for ES contracts, right? And as the market runs out of stock, right, it'll go into the storage room to get contracts, right? But if it doesn't need that, it's going to come down this way. Give it some time. Just kind of ease into your week, right? Ease into your week. Thanks, everyone. Really appreciate you guys. And we will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.